During the fall, lots of folks still head to the Minnesota State Parks, so we've come to Afton State Park and to talk to a park ranger about safety tips that can help keep you and your family safe, and we're pleased to have with us Park Ranger Nick Barrows. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
It's really great. Thanks for
thanks
taking
for
time out.
Absolutely.
It's a gorgeous day right today.
It is. It does get much better than this, especially this time of year.
So tell us a little bit about Afton State Park.
Yeah, so the park is about 1,700 acres. We've got 22 miles of hiking trails in the park. We're a very popular hiking and trail running destination. This big summertime draw is going to be our swimming beach. We have a beautiful sand beach right on the edge of the St. Croix River. We have camping in the park. There's 28 hike-in backpack sites, so a really rustic experience. And there's also group camps, camper cabins, and yurts for people to take advantage of as well. And
you were telling me that the fall, it really comes alive here with the colors in the trees and everything.
Busiest time of year. You know, the fall colors up and down the valley are really something it's worth making the trip to see. So.
And even in the wintertime too, this is a hot spot.
It is, yep. We do cross-country skiing and snowshoeing in the winter. It really offers a whole different perspective than what you see. You know, it really changes from season to season incredibly, but seeing it from the summer to the winter is really a treat.
So everyone, they want to come out here, have a good time, but what would be some of those top 10 safety tips that you would give them so that they can have a great time when they're here?
Sure. So the first one that's really at the top of our mind is going to be protection from tick-borne illnesses. So being sure you're using your mosquito spray or clothing treatments to keep the ticks off. There's wood ticks are typically a little bit more active earlier in the summer and the spring, but deer ticks have been active year-round. There have been reported cases of bites even in December on those years that there's low snow. So,
wow, that's hard to believe.
Yep. So
good to keep in mind.
Absolutely. With Lyme disease, and there's a few new viruses that are just starting, they're getting documented reports of that are pretty risky. So
yeah, you don't want to take that home with you once you leave the park as well. So
absolutely.
Make sure you check yourself after you leave the park and
thorough
stuff.
check, and light colored clothing so they're easy to spot, tick gaiters, the spray, you know, it all helps to keep yourself clear. So.
What about like wildlife or even vegetation? Are there things that people should be concerned about?
Sure, yeah, there's always, you know, not really any threatening animals in the area here. We have occasional bear reports.
Park.
Yeah, but especially, you know, going off trail, there's poison ivy and different things like that. So being sure you're able to identify things when you're on the trail, and if you're unsure about it, it's best to avoid it. So.
And what about snakes or anything like that?
Snakes in our area, there aren't any venomous, dangerous snakes, but it's still good to keep an eye out. We do have fox snakes in the park that actually mimic rattlesnakes, so it makes people a little nervous, but they're, you know, all bark and no bite type of thing. So
I think the same advice with all the hiking trails, to make sure that people have good walking shoes and make sure that they're covered and things like that.
Yep, sturdy footwear, staying hydrated. You know, it's been a cooler summer, so it hasn't been as much of a risk, but especially as we go into these cooler seasons, you don't notice that you're becoming dehydrated because it's cooler out, you're not uncomfortable, but that dry air is just sapping the moisture from you. So bringing a bottle of water with you is very important.
Yeah, we talked with one of the urgent room physicians, and he was saying that is a concern of dehydration. People, they're around the water, around our lakes, our rivers, and they get dehydrated.
Absolutely.
Because they're just not drinking enough fluids, or they're drinking too much alcohol too. That could be another.
Shouldn't be an issue in state parks. We you know, keep it family friendly, but yeah, it's just something else that when you're outside, be sure you're aware of.
What would be some of those common rules and policies that everyone should know before they come to the park?
Yeah, you know, the most important thing is let people know where you're going. You know, have a check-in, check-out system if you're hiking alone, especially.
And why is that?
Well, so they know when to expect you. If something happens, if you roll an ankle or you get turned around, they'll know that, okay, well, this person said they were going to be home at this time. They're not here yet. I need to call and, you know, send help for them, because you never know what happens. So.
Yeah, sounds like great advice. Also, what should they bring with them to the park? I mean, what kinds of things would you advise them to have? You mentioned having water.
Yep, bottle of water. Usually a basic first aid kit is nice to carry with. They make ones that are extremely compact. You can even throw it in your pocket. You got basic Band-Aids and things like that. Sturdy footwear is also very important, especially at some of our trails here. They can get rough, so be sure you have good footwear. Comfortable layered clothing is important, especially as we get into the fall season, so that you can, you know, stay warm or cool off as needed, because when you're sweating, that's when you're really at risk for dehydrating. So.
And then do cell phones work very well here, or should you have obviously there's not too many places to charge it in.
Charge cell phone, you know, close to the metro, most parks are going to have decent cell coverage, but it really can be spotty. So again, if you're out of contact with phones, it's good to have that check-in, check-out system with someone that knows where you are, know when to expect you back.
Any other safety things that someone could bring with them you think that would be good? Maybe you said extra clothing that you can maybe blankets or things like that?
Yeah, you
or-
know, it's one of those things that it's best to kind of prepare for the worst. You know, you don't expect something to go bad, but if it does, you know, survival kits, especially in the winter, is very important. You know, food stores, things like that is, you know, good to bring with. It's not essential, but if you want to be prepared for the worst, it's best to, you know, have the things with you so you can respond accordingly.
And also, any concerns about weapons or anyone? I mean, obviously no firearms.
Yeah,
but
firearms aren't allowed in
knives
state
and
parks.
stuff?
You
You
know,
would
a
need
lot of
those?
people bring. You wouldn't need it. I mean, you know, they're allowed to carry with you, especially the pocket knives and things
Okay.
like that. Something considered a weapon aren't allowed in state parks. So there's not that threat. But beyond that, you know.
You know, and out west, we've heard a lot of different fires happening at a lot of the national parks and stuff. And any concern about fires here and just at the picnic areas, they have to.
Yeah, campfire safety. You know, if you're just doing your general campfires, you know, it's especially with younger kids, it's good idea to keep it as close an eye as possible on them. Our fire rings are all to fire codes that they've got a higher rim, so there's not as much of a risk.
I can tell. Yeah, I see that.
Yep. So, but yeah, campfire safety, it just takes a moment for something to go wrong. So
Yeah, we want to keep the parks looking as beautiful as they are.
Yep. And we do a pretty aggressive, you know, prescribed burning program in the park. So the wildfire risk isn't as significant, especially a year like this where we've had timely rains. But yeah, especially as we get into the fall season where it's drier, making sure that fires are completely extinguished and you have water close by, just to make sure nothing escapes to where it's not supposed to be.
Yeah, you'd hate to start a fire.
Yeah.
Or get burnt by a fire as well. So just final advice for our viewers.
It's good to bring, you know, a survival whistle with, you know, something that if your voice isn't able to carry to get a hold of someone if you're in trouble, those whistles can, you know, be heard from up to, you know, 2 miles away in the right types of conditions. So it's going to make you that much more likely to be found if you are lost or injured or something like that. It's also good to bring a flashlight with, you know, because you never know if you do get turned around somewhere, if you're going to be out you know, later than sunset, especially as the days are getting shorter as we get into the fall season here.
And I think you'd want to also be aware of the weather, what kind of weather conditions could
Yep.
develop maybe once you're here even.
Absolutely, yep. In the summer, there's always a thunderstorm risk. They can really come up out of nowhere. In the winter, you know, conditions change rapidly, especially as we get into the fall. You know, you can start out your day and it's, you know, 75 degrees and sunny at noon, and by 5 o'clock it can be 34 and sleet coming down. So
be really aware of that.
Yep.
And as park rangers, you're also aware of who's in the park as well.
We
they all
are.
have to check in before
Yep.
come in. And
As state park staff, we're always, you know, addressing any safety issues. We're quick to respond if something gets reported to the office. So if you get into a situation where you're not comfortable, feel that your safety is going to be at risk, call the park office and we'll get out to help take care of it. Between us and the sheriff's office, we've got responders available.
And if someone wants to get more information about the park or about park safety and stuff like that, where should they go? What would you recommend?
Yep, the DNR website is a great resource. Just go to mndnr.gov and there's a state parks page. Otherwise, you can call us here at the park at 651-436-5391 and be happy to answer any questions people may have.
Final comments for our viewers, a recommendation or advice?
Sure, I'd say, you know, if you are looking for something to do this fall, it's definitely worth making the trip out to the park here. It's absolutely gorgeous up and down the river valley. We've got some great overlooks and it's a great place to take in the fall colors. So we hope to see you out and hope everyone stays safe.
Sounds great.
All right.
Nick Barrels, Park Ranger,
Yep.
Thank you for being with us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.